All right, strap in everyone, because today we're taking a deep dive into a website that, well, let's just say it's not your typical design inspiration source. That's right, we're doing a full website critique of XHAMSTER. But before you click away thinking, what have I gotten myself into? Trust me on this one.
Oh yeah, even the most unexpected websites can teach us a lot about what works and what really doesn't when it comes to designing a website that actually, keeps people engaged.
Exactly. So we're going to be looking at it all, the homepage layout, the navigation, the way they present their content, and we'll throw in some recommendations for improvement along the way. Let's start with first impressions. We all know they matter, and the homepage is like the digital storefront. So what's XHAMSTER's storefront looking like? Well, the first thing you see is a row of prominent category labels: U.S. straight, gay, transgender, and then right below that, you've got videos and photos.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, they're really putting inclusivity front and center, but it makes you wonder if maybe, just maybe, leading with these specific categories could subtly, influence user choices.
You mean, like, are they trying to steer people in a certain direction right from the get-go?
It's possible. It really makes you think about how these seemingly small design choices can actually nudge users, sometimes subconsciously, towards certain areas of the site.
Okay, so let's move on from the initial categories and talk about navigation. We've got a mix here. Forgot password, sign in with Google Twitter, sign up for free, sex chat, premium. I don't know, it feels a bit like a jumbled toolbox to me.
I agree, it's not the most streamlined setup. And good website design really comes down to visual hierarchy, right? Making those important elements stand out. Here, it feels like the sign-in options and even some core functions, like the search bar, are kind of getting lost in the shuffle.
Oh, and speaking of getting lost, right in the middle of all this navigation chaos is this bright yellow banner screaming, 2 days of Fap House for only 0.99. Talk about subtle.
Yeah, that's definitely grabbing your attention. But is that really the first impression they want to make? I mean, this aggressive promotion of premium features could actually be overshadowing some essential navigation elements.
It's like they spilled glitter all over the kitchen and now you can't find the spice you need. Totally distracting. And then we come to the main course, the categories. Brace yourself, because things are about to get very extensive. We've got 4K porn, HD videos, VR porn, 18-year-old, African, amateur, anal, and honestly, that's barely scratching the surface.
Wow, they're not holding back on the options, are they? While having all these categories might seem like a good thing, it can actually create a real barrier to user experience. Imagine trying to find a specific video in this massive, and I mean massive, sea of categories. It could get pretty overwhelming pretty quickly.
Yeah, choice overload is a real thing. They definitely need a better way to help users navigate this content jungle.
Absolutely. A really robust search function with very specific filters, that could be a game changer here. Let users narrow down their choices by genre, length, keywords, you name it. Empower them to find exactly what they're looking for without having to scroll through endless categories.
So instead of wading through hundreds of categories, you could just type in vintage redhead HD and bam, you're there.
Exactly. And you know what else could be really helpful? Incorporating visuals into the category list itself. Think thumbnails, short previews, anything to give users a better sense of what they're clicking into.
Make it more enticing. I like it. It's all about making the whole experience more intuitive and enjoyable. Speaking of which, let's move on to the trending free porn video section. We've got some pretty standard filters here, all HD, 4K, VR, but then there's this little note. By clicking the content on this page, you will also see an ad.
Ah, yes, the monetization strategy. It's good that they're being upfront about the ads, but the key is to make sure those ads don't completely derail the user experience. No one wants to be bombarded with intrusive pop-ups every time they try to watch a video.
Great. And speaking of those videos, let's talk titles. Some are pretty straightforward, while others, well, let's just say they're getting a little creative with the wording.
Video titles are kind of like mini headlines, they need to grab attention and accurately reflect the content.
It's a fine line between enticing and clickbaity, isn't it?
Absolutely. Misleading titles are just going to lead to frustrated users and ultimately hurt the website's credibility.
Okay, so we've talked about the homepage, navigation, categories, even touch on video titles.
Yeah.
What about the visuals, the thumbnails that go with each video? They're like little movie posters, all competing for your attention.
They are, and they play a crucial role in attracting viewers. Thumbnails need to be visually appealing, high quality, and accurately reflect what the video is actually about. A well-designed thumbnail can make all the difference.
So are these thumbnails doing their job? What are we seeing here?
It's a mixed bag, really. Some are eye-catching, well-composed, but others are blurry or kind of generic. Consistency is key. The website should really establish clear guidelines for thumbnail design. They need to create a more cohesive and professional look across the platform.
So no more blurry bathroom selfies as thumbnails.
Well, maybe for some categories. Just kidding. But seriously, high-quality visuals are crucial for making a good first impression. And never underestimate the power of good composition and lighting. Those can make a huge difference in attracting clicks.
Good to know. Now let's scroll down a bit and see what else we can find. We got the X-Hamster Moments section. And this has a completely different vibe. It's a grid of user-generated content, almost like a mini social network within the site.
Interesting. This could be a way to diversify their content and appeal to a broader audience.
It's definitely a departure from the rest of the site, which I guess might be the point. But is it working? What do you think?
It has potential, but it needs to be better integrated into the overall user experience. Right now, it just feels kind of like an afterthought, tucked away at the bottom of the page.
So they need to think about making this section more prominent and engaging if they really want it to succeed.
Exactly. Maybe feature moments content on the homepage, create a dedicated tab for it. Even think about adding interactive elements like polls or quizzes to encourage more user participation.
But make it a dynamic and engaging space that really complements the rest of the site.
Exactly. And don't forget, user-generated content can be a powerful tool for building community and loyalty. If they can tap into that, it could be a real win for XHAMSTER.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, the good, the bad, and the areas where XHAMSTER could definitely use some work. So as we wrap up this first part of our deep dive, let's take a step back and think big picture. What are the key takeaways we've uncovered so far?
I think the biggest one is that even in a niche market like this, user experience is absolutely paramount. Clarity, consistency, and intuitive design, those are essential for helping users navigate a library of content this vast.
And finding that balance between monetization and user satisfaction, that's crucial for long-term success. You can't just bombard users with ads and expect them to stick around.
Right. It's all about creating a website that's both engaging and functional, a place where users feel comfortable exploring and discovering new content.
Well said. We'll be right back after a short break to continue our deep dive into XHAMSTER. Stay tuned. So, we've been focusing a lot on the visual side of things, but let's not forget about the technical stuff. How well does this site actually work under the hood?
Right, because a website can look amazing, but if it's slow, buggy, or a pain to use on your phone, people are going to bounce. So what should XHAMSTER be thinking about in terms of technical performance? Well, site speed is huge. Nobody wants to wait forever for a page to load, especially when they're looking for, instant gratification. So XHAMSTER needs to make sure their servers are up to snuff and that the whole website is optimized for speed.
So no buffering videos or endless loading screens.
Exactly. And they need to think about mobile optimization. These days, people are browsing on their phones and tablets more than ever. If XHAMSTER's site isn't responsive, if it's not easy to use on smaller screens, they're going to lose a big chunk of their audience.
It's like trying to read a newspaper on your phone.
Yeah.
All that squinting and scrolling. Not a good experience. So they need to make sure the site adapts to different screen sizes.
Absolutely. And they need to test. They should be checking their website on all sorts of devices and browsers, making sure it works perfectly for everyone.
Testing, right? And what about accessibility? They need to consider users with disabilities who might have trouble navigating a standard website.
You're so right. Accessibility is crucial for creating an inclusive online experience. So they need to make sure their site follows accessibility guidelines. Things like providing alt text for images, using clear and concise language, and offering keyboard navigation.
It's about making sure everyone can enjoy the content, regardless of their abilities.
Exactly. And it's not just the ethical thing to do, it's good business. A more accessible website reaches a wider audience, and everyone's happy.
Okay, so we've talked visual design, technical performance, accessibility. What about security? This is a site that handles some pretty sensitive user data, so that has to be a top priority, right?
Absolutely. Data breaches, security vulnerabilities, those can be devastating for any website, but especially for one that deals with this kind of personal information. They need to have some serious security measures in place to protect user data, things like strong passwords, encryption, and regular security audits.
So users can feel confident their info is safe and sound.
That's the goal. And they should be transparent about their security practices. Let users know exactly what steps they're taking to protect their data. It builds trust and shows that they take user privacy seriously.
And what about payment security? They have those premium subscriptions, so they need to make sure people can pay without any worries, right?
Definitely. They should be using a reputable payment gateway, one that encrypts all the user data and protects against fraud. And they need to be compliant with those industry standards, like PCI DSS, the one that sets requirements for handling credit card information.
Makes sense. It's all about creating a safe and trustworthy environment.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears for a minute and talk about something we haven't really touched on yet, the actual content.
Okay, so we're going beyond the website design and looking at the videos and other content that XHAMSTER offers.
Right, because the website is just the package. The content is what people are really there for.
So what should they be thinking about in terms of their content strategy?
Well, first and foremost, quality is key. They need to make sure the content is well-produced, engaging, and it needs to cater to their target audience.
So no more shaky cam footage or bad lighting.
Hopefully not. And they need to think about variety. Offering a diverse range of content that appeals to different tastes and preferences. That's how you attract a wider audience and keep them coming back for more.
It's like a restaurant menu. Got to have options for everyone.
Exactly. And they should think about how they're organizing and presenting the content. Is it easy to find what you're looking for? Are they using the right tags and categories?
So going back to that massive category list, maybe they need to streamline it a bit.
That could definitely help. And they might even consider incorporating a recommendation engine. Suggesting content based on user history or their stated preferences.
That would really personalize the experience, make users feel like the website gets them.
And don't forget about search. A good search function, one that lets users search by specific keywords, actors, themes, that's going to make a huge difference.
It's all about making the discovery process as smooth and enjoyable as possible.
Right. And another thing to consider, updating their content regularly. New and fresh content keeps people coming back for more.
So they need to stay on top of what's trending and popular in the adult entertainment world.
Absolutely. They need to be innovative, stay ahead of the curve. That's how you keep your audience engaged.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Website design, technical performance, content strategy. We're really starting to get a good sense of what XHAMSTER could do to improve their online presence.
We are. And remember, these are just suggestions. It's ultimately up to XHAMSTER to decide what changes they make.
But hopefully our insights will give them something to think about as they, evolve and adapt in this ever-changing world of online adult entertainment.
That's our hope. It's a really fascinating space to analyze. It's always interesting to see how websites are using design and technology to engage their audiences.
Okay, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into XHAMSTER. We've talked design, functionality, content, really the whole shebang. But now, let's look ahead to the future.
Right, because the online world never stands still, and XHAMSTER needs to be ready to adapt and innovate if they want to stay relevant.
So what trends should they be keeping an eye on? What's coming next for adult entertainment websites?
Well, one big one is the rise of immersive technologies, things like virtual reality. We're already seeing VR porn becoming more popular, and I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. XHAMSTER needs to be investing in VR content, creating experiences that really, truly transport users to another world.
Taking the fantasy to a whole new level, huh?
Exactly. Imagine stepping into a virtual environment where you can interact with the content in a way that feels totally real.
That's pretty mind-blowing. The possibilities seem endless.
They are. And it's not just about visuals either. Think about incorporating other senses, like sound, even touch, to create a truly multisensory experience.
Oh, that's next level. What else is on the horizon?
Well, another trend to watch is the increasing personalization of online content. Users expect websites to cater to their individual tastes, their preferences. So XHAMSTER needs to think about how they can use data and algorithms to personalize that user experience.
So using data to recommend content that users are more likely to enjoy.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Netflix suggests movies and TV shows based on what you've watched before.
Exactly. They could create custom playlists, suggest categories that match user interests, even tailor the website's layout and design to individual preferences.
That would make the whole experience so much more intuitive and engaging.
Right. And it would help users discover content they might not have found otherwise. Oh, and another trend that's already shaking things up, artificial intelligence.
AI is everywhere these days, but how does it fit into an adult entertainment website?
Well, for one thing, AI could really enhance the search function, making it even easier to find specific content. It could also be used to moderate content, making sure everything meets community standards and guidelines.
So AI could help keep the website safe, make sure users are seeing content that's appropriate.
Exactly. It could also be used to create interactive experiences, like chatbots that can answer user questions or provide personalized recommendations.
That's pretty wild. It sounds like AI could totally revolutionize how users interact with adult content.
It has the potential. Of course, we have to consider the ethical side of things, making sure user privacy is protected, preventing bias in algorithms.
Right, using this technology responsibly is key.
Absolutely. But overall, I think AI has the potential to make these websites more engaging, more personalized, and more accessible to everyone.
So to recap, we've got immersive technologies, personalized content, and artificial intelligence. Three big trends that XHamster needs to be thinking about as they navigate the future of online adult entertainment.
Exactly. The future is exciting, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how XHamster and other websites in the space evolve and adapt to these new trends.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into XHamster. We've covered a ton of ground, from the nuts and bolts of design and functionality to the big picture stuff like content strategy and the future of the industry.
We have. It's been a fascinating journey, and hopefully our conversation has given you a better understanding of just how complex and how interesting website design can be in this unique niche.
To our listeners, we encourage you to think critically about the websites you use every day and how the design choices those sites make shape your experience online. And remember, even websites like XHamster, ones you might not expect, can teach us a lot about user engagement, technology, and the ever-changing world of the internet.
That's right. So until next time, happy browsing, everyone.